Konoha. Naruto's Abnormal Life Choices. Chapter 41. Behind the road, Tamari rolled on the ground several times with the help of the reaction force of the wind escape, and finally stopped beside Kankuro. The fear of almost facing death made Tamari tremble all over now. Seeing Naruto planning to rush over again, Tamari felt sad. Until he saw another brother, Gaara's sand, appear. Tamari felt relieved. Kankuro, who was almost beaten to death by a random punch, propped himself up and tried to sit up tremblingly, but the pain in his chest and head was unbearable. Now Kankuro's head hurt so much that it felt like it was about to split open, and the world in front of him was blurry and spinning. Feeling the indescribable pain all over his body, Kankuro really wanted to curse, and thought to himself, I really encountered a ghost. You told me you were so strong, how could I mess with you? Tamari, is Gaara here? Well, we are saved. Then I can rest assured, there will be no one among the genin who can be Gaara's opponent. Tamari nodded and helped Kankuro sit up. She saw that her brother's face had been deformed by the beating, swollen into the shape of a pig's head, and several of his teeth were broken. She regretted it again in her heart. If she had known better, she should have stopped Kankuro from yawning. Fortunately, Gaara followed, otherwise today would have been miserable. Tamari glanced around and saw Gaara hanging upside down in the tree on the left front. At this time, he grinned and his eyes were all on Konoha's blonde genin, and his whole body was full of fighting spirit. Gaara opened his right hand, then turned it into a fist, and shouted softly, sand-bound coffin. The stone slabs and soil under Naruto's feet instantly turned into sand, and countless gravel rolled towards Naruto, intending to wrap around Naruto's body. Sakura, who was silently cheering for Naruto from a distance, saw this scene, and the worries in her heart couldn't help but rush to Naruto desperately. Naruto, get out of the way. Hearing Sakura's loud shout, Naruto jumped away from the sand under his feet. Although the sand was very fast, his feet were faster and he could jump higher. Can't run. Gaara, who was hanging upside down on the tree, became even more fighting-minded. He even poured out the sand from the big gourd on his back and chased Naruto. There are actually not so many bells and whistles in combat. The main focus is on the 3 points of fast, accurate, and relentless. In a duel, as long as these 3 points are stronger than the opponent, then you will definitely win. But now the situation is not a one-on-one battle. Tamari, who still has fighting ability, and Sakura, who is rushing towards them, are variables. Naruto made a dissatisfied chi sound, and used the seal to summon 2 shadow clones. The 2 shadow clones worked together in the air to throw Naruto in the direction of Sakura. Then the shadow clone was pierced in the air by the spikes formed by the gravel that Gaara poured out of the gourd, and then dissipated. Arriving in front of Sakura, Naruto scolded her in a low voice, Idiot, are you rushing over to seek death? Why don't you go back and hide? Sakura felt a little aggrieved at being scolded. I'm just worried. Before she could finish her words, she received a hard blow from Naruto on her forehead that caused her brain to break. Naruto hit her hard and it hurt her very much. Sakura's eyes became misty and she felt very uncomfortable. She was obviously worried about Naruto, but the idiot Naruto hit her. If you don't leave, believe it or not, I will throw you out. Naruto glared at her fiercely. You are here and I have to protect you. Aren't you holding me back? After saying that, Naruto didn't care about Sakura's mood, pushed her away, and then turned around to search for Gaara's traces. Seeing that his opponent was still in the mood to talk to a woman while fighting with him, Gaara felt that he had been underestimated. With a squeeze of his right hand, several shurikens made of sand were directed at Naruto. Naruto also took out a kunai from his ninja bag, attached it to the explosive charm, and threw it towards Gaara. Then Naruto opened his left palm, dodged the sand shuriken, formed a Rasengan and ran towards Gaara. Sakura, who was pushed back several steps by Naruto, looked at Naruto's back, thinking about what Naruto just said, her heart ached. Sakura gritted her teeth, pursed her lips and ran in the opposite direction. Although it was sad to say that, Naruto was right, she was just a burden now that couldn't be of any help. It's better to take advantage of this moment and quickly run to find other ninjas in Konoha to help. In fact, Naruto doesn't need Sakura to help him call people. He just needs Sakura to hide far away. After all, Gaara's attack range is too large. If Sakura is still here, maybe Gaara won't be able to attack him. Pay attention and kill her. There was a loud, bang, sound, and before the kunai with the explosive talisman attached to it approached Gaara, it was blocked by a sand shield formed by gravel, and exploded. The location of the explosion created a small gap in the sand shield, and Naruto held the Rasengan in his hand and attacked the gap. Tamari, who was watching the two fighting from a distance, narrowed her eyes. She was quite confident in Gaara. So far, she has not encountered any genin who can break Gaara's sand shield. Gaara, who was protected by the sand shield, frowned when he saw the powerful Rasengan still rushing towards the gap, and used chakra to make the sand and gravel gather towards the gap. You are very strong, you are qualified to be my opponent. Gaara laughed crazily. After hearing this, Naruto had a joking smile on his face. But you are very weak, you are not worthy of being my opponent. Scorching release scorching flame arm. The arm quickly turned red, braving the terrifying heat. The Rasengan was just a feint attack to attract Gaara's attention. The burning arm was the real attack. At this time, the thickest part of Gaara's sand shield has become the place attacked by the Rasengan, so the other parts will naturally become weaker. The burning flame arm inserted into the shield with almost no resistance, directly attacking Gaara's face. Bang! With a loud noise, Gaara was punched out of the shield by Naruto, and his body flew straight back. Gaara. In an instant, Tamari panicked, leaving the seriously injured Kankuro behind, and quickly ran in the direction of Gaara to catch the fallen Gaara. Kankuro was thrown to the ground. He was in pain and shocked at the same time. He didn't expect that someone as strong as Gaara would be crushed in the hands of that Konoha genin. What he didn't know was that this was actually a case of Naruto holding back. Gaara is a part of the Konoha collapse plan set by Orochimaru, so just before his fist touched Gaara, Naruto untied the burning arm, otherwise he might have killed me directly. Gaara's head was shot through. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing Choice 3. The reward, Increased Physical Fitness once, will be issued to the host soon. Since this reward is special, the host please be prepared. Is this something you will never forget? The corners of Naruto's lips raised slightly. He had received the reward, and he no longer planned to continue fighting with these three siblings. They are important pawns in Konoha's collapse plan, and Naruto doesn't want to know about them here. The physical enhancement will start after the host goes to sleep. Do you want to receive it now? The leaves were swayed by the wind, the sunlight was shattered, the cicadas were chirping, and gravel kept falling under the feet. The sand kai that covered Gaara's body to protect his body had been beaten to pieces, and the gravel that was constantly scattered on the ground fell from his body. Tamari gasped for air after catching Gaara. The force used to knock Gaara away was too great, causing her to slide along for a few meters before barely stopping. Gaara, how are you? Tamari asked her brother with concern and looked at Naruto. Although she didn't understand why the other party stopped suddenly, this was a good opportunity for Tamari. As long as the other party is willing to stop and discuss, there is a chance for reconciliation. Naruto tortured 3 of them in a row, and Tamari was really scared. Their siblings are considered to be the strongest genin in Sunagaku. They thought they could be as good as anyone when they came to Konoha. Unexpectedly, when they arrived today, the first Konoha genin they met was so terrifying. That little brother over there. Just when Tamari was about to ask for peace, Gaara suddenly pushed her away and then controlled the sand to attack Naruto. He stared at Naruto with burning eyes, and Naruto's punch just now made him excited. Looking at the sand that was coming towards him, Naruto cursed in his mind, Brock, why is this little red-haired dwarf so needy? Hey, I said, just stop fighting. After Naruto shouted, he leaned against the wall. With his lazy movements and half-dragged eyelids, anyone who looked at him would think he was very kind. Except for the 3 siblings who had just been beaten violently. Tamari swallowed. Naruto's attitude was as if he looked down on the 3 siblings for being too lazy to take action. Gaara's eyes were even red with anger, and without thinking more, he poured out a torrent of gravel from the gourd and rushed towards Naruto. Azuki Shion, who was quietly observing the battle from the treetops on the right, frowned slightly. She didn't quite understand why Naruto, who was so desperate just now, suddenly stopped fighting. Could it be that he was confident and wanted to play tricks on these 3 sand ninjas? Azuki Shion thought about it for a while, And it was really possible according to Naruto's character of always jumping the line. In fact, Naruto just wanted to help the third generation and let him enjoy bliss as soon as possible. So I don't want to destroy Gaara, so as not to affect the trip to the west arranged by Orochimaru for the third Hokage. Seeing Gaara's attack getting closer and closer, Naruto felt annoyed and said to himself that he would not tolerate him again. If Gaara really wanted to seek death, then Naruto would have to reluctantly deal with him. Naruto dodged the attack while trying to persuade Gaara to give up the fight, but Gaara acted like a mad dog and didn't listen at all. Once, twice, 3 times. The fourth attack was already in front of him, and Naruto sighed inwardly. It seemed that the only way to teach him a small lesson was to try not to hurt his life. I hope it will not affect the process of the return of 3 generations of old men to the west. Naruto thought about it and prepared to squeeze the Rasengan to hit someone. Jung. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of a sword, which directly cut the gravel in half, and then a purple-haired Anbu wearing a mask blocked Naruto's eyes. Uezuki Shion still took action. Although she was quite confident in Naruto's strength, Naruto didn't even fight back, which made her a little panicked. In desperation, she still couldn't resist the urge to save people. She herself couldn't tell what kind of emotion this was. The most important thing for Mingming and Anbu was to be calm, but when she saw Naruto just now, as if he was deliberately waiting to be beaten, she couldn't calm down. Maybe it's because you've been following him for a long time and you've developed some feelings for him. The Anbu finally came out, and Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. There was no need to panic now. This Anbu saved the third generation. Gaara on the opposite side still wanted to take action, but was blocked by another person, Tsunagakure's leading Jonin Maki. Konoha is indeed the cradle of geniuses, it's really amazing. Maki wore a white cloth on his head to cover half of his face, thinking that other people from Konoha were probably coming as well, and the Kazekage-sama's plan could not be affected. Ueyu Shion put the knife into the scabbard without talking to Maji. Maji glanced at her indifferently, then waved his hand to the 3 siblings and said, "Don't cause trouble and disgrace the village. Take Kankuro with you and let's go." Good. Temari, the only one among the 3 siblings who was not injured, breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Naruto with fear. Gaara stared at Naruto coldly and asked, "What's your name? I'm interested in you." "I'm not interested in you." Naruto's expression was very casual. "A weakling is not worth remembering, so get out." Gaara frowned and stepped forward, but was stopped by Maki. He said with a cold hum, "For those who haven't finished this time, I will come to you when the Chunin exams are held. Remember, my name is Gaara." Quote. After Tsunagakure's ninja left, Naruto immediately clicked on the reward and looked at it. Enhance physical fitness. After receiving it, the host will fall asleep for about 3 to 5 minutes, strengthening various parts of the body without affecting the external appearance. It's only such a short time. I have to go shopping later, so there's no need to go home. Just squint lightly on the street. Sister, thank you just now. I'm a little tired, so I'll lean on you for a moment. Naruto pretended to be tired and yawned, then silently muttered in his heart, "Confirm receipt." Single quote. Then Naruto tilted his body and fell to the ground. Before falling down, Naruto wanted to pinch himself. If he had known that his body would immediately collapse, he would have gone to lie down under the tree. Falling down like this really affects my image a bit. I thought I would fall in the corner, but I never expected to fall into a soft embrace. Uezuki Shion opened her arms and hugged Naruto's body, letting Naruto lean into her arms. She couldn't help but froze for a moment when she looked at her closed eyes. What's going on here? Did the battle just now exhaust the chakra? Probably. No wonder he suddenly stopped fighting just now. Or I was too negligent, forgetting for a moment that he had just graduated from Renmin University. Even if he was a genius, how could he withstand the battle of several people? There is a soft whisper in the ears, more like a lullaby to soothe people's minds. Naruto's consciousness became more and more blurred, and he fell into sleep smelling the faint fragrance of the female Anbu's arms. His last thought before falling asleep was that the pillow was so soft and fragrant that he really wanted to hug it all the time. Start improving physical fitness. Strengthening the left hand successfully. Strengthening the right hand successfully. Strengthening various internal organs. Naruto, who was sleeping, was breathing evenly, his face was white and tender, and he still had his childish look. How cute. Azuki Shien's mother was so filled with love that she couldn't help but raise her finger and gently poked Naruto's face. You slept so well. Naruto. At this time, Sakura, who went to find helpers, finally came over with helpers. On the way, she happened to meet Kurenai Yuhi, who was wandering around with Team 8, and a ninja who kept coughing and felt unreliable. Yuhi Kurenai and Moonlight Hayate arrived at the same time, and both looked stunned when they saw Azuki Yugao holding a sleeping Naruto in her arms. The monsoon wind blows off the green leaves, and the midday sun pours through the leaves, dyeing the moonlight breeze's head green. Sakura was shocked. Why hadn't she seen for a while that this Naruto was in love with another woman again? There is nothing good about men. Hokage building. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Azuki Yugao and Maki facing each other in front of him, took a drag on the pipe in his mouth and blew out the smoke. Shien, please tell me what happened. As you command. Azuki Shien nodded slightly and stated what she saw. Lord Hokage, the thing is like this, because Master Konohamaru was threatened and intimidated by the son of Master Kazekage, and he also threatened to kill Master Konohamaru. My village genin, Uzumaki Naruto, happened to be present at the time. He tried to dissuade the son of the Kazekage to no avail, and was ridiculed by the other party. I had no choice but to take action. No, the results of the examination of Master Kazekage's child have come out. The injuries are extremely serious, with several broken ribs. Maki interrupted. During this period, he has not even used ninjutsu once. This Anbuken, you can't cover up that kid just because he's from the same village. Mao Yuxian frowned slightly. It is true that the son of Feng Ying was seriously injured, but he brought it on himself. He still wants to provoke others if he has no strength. Hearing this, Maki's expression was not very good. This sentence hit him hard. He also heard Tamari explain the whole process. It was indeed Konkuro's own fault. But after all, it was Lord Kazekage's child, his apprentice, and even if it was Konkuro's fault, he still had to deal with it. That is to say, as the saying goes, it is unreasonable to make a fuss. Okay, don't say anything anymore. I understand the basics. At this time, the third Hokage began to talk to Nini and interrupted the conversation between the two. Konkuro bullied Konohamaru and Naruto was overprotective. Both sides are at fault in this matter. Let's just let it go. Yes. Although Uezuki Shien was unwilling to do so, Hokage-sama had already given the order, and as a subordinate, she had to obey. She originally thought that she would report Naruto's rescue of Konohamaru today. He can also win a title like Little Hero for Naruto, so that people in the village will no longer be so prejudiced against Naruto. It's a pity that the third generation didn't seem to have the intention to commend Naruto. There was a hint of ridicule in Maki's eyes, and he thought that it seemed that Lord Kazekage was right. The third Hokage was just an incompetent weakling who was strong on the inside and soft on the outside. 9 years ago, Kumogakure attacked Hinata, a wealthy Konoha clan. As a result, the third Hokage not only refused to help Hinata, but instead advocated handing over Hinata's clan leader to Kumogakure to make amends. It is clear that he is the victim, but he surrenders to the enemy because he is afraid of war. You know, Konoha has always been the leader of the 5 great ninja villages, but he actually bowed to Kumogakure, who was weaker than him. The whole world was shocked. But today, even Maki himself knew that Sunagakure was the one who was wronged, and as a result, the third Hokage was still practicing Tai Chi. Intentions turn big things into small things, and small things turn into small things. It's really hilarious that such a weak and incompetent guy actually became the Hokage of Konoha. Konoha must have no future under the leadership of such a person. Before Maki came to Konoha, he was still worried about whether the Kazekage was taking too many risks. Now he just wanted to say that the Kazekage was far-sighted and had no problem deciding to tear up the alliance. Lord Kazekage's plan to collapse Konoha will definitely succeed. After Ma-ji and Uezuki Shien left, the third Hokage sighed slightly and looked into the distance. He is not only the Hokage of Konoha, but also the leader of the Sarutobi clan, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Konoha cannot be in chaos and war cannot begin. The Sarutobi clan has finally accumulated thousands of ninjas. If a war begins, a large number of people will inevitably be killed or injured. By then, I'm afraid I won't be able to control Hinata and Ino Shikacho, and Danzo will also jump around. In that case, what if we win the foreign war? It's true that little guy Naruto, I have to find time to talk to him in private. It's enough to save Konohamaru at that time. There is no need to kill others. But today's result is not too bad. Being able to save Konohamaru proves that Naruto already agrees with Konohamaru in his heart. Nearly 5,000 ninjas, plus the die-hard support of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. In a few years, Konoha will be able to legitimately bear the surname Sarutobi. Konoha Hospital is the second place that Naruto gave Konoha good reviews. Most of the doctors here use ninjutsu to treat patients, so there is not a strong smell of medicine. As for why Naruto came to Konoha Hospital, he didn't want to either, but when he woke up from his sleep, he was already hugged by Yuhi Hong and ran to the door of the hospital. No matter how much Naruto explained that there was nothing wrong with his health, Yuhi Kurenai forced him to find a doctor for treatment. The result was that he spent Yuhi Kurenai's money and was hospitalized. The doctor said that he was in great health and was stronger than an ox. Kurenai Yuhi peeled an apple, handed it to Naruto, and asked with puzzled eyes, "The doctor said you were in good health, how did you faint?" "I didn't pass out, I was just sleepy and wanted to take a nap." Naruto took the apple and looked at Yuhi Kurenai's elegant and moving figure. Today she was wearing a forehead protector and a bandage-style hip skirt. The hem of the skirt reaches her thighs. She sits on a chair with her legs crossed. The already tight skirt immediately outlines the curves of her waist and hips. In fact, Naruto liked to see this outfit more than the outfit she wore during her vacation. The only drawback was that Yuhi Kurenai was not wearing high heels now. As if she noticed something was wrong with Naruto's gaze, Yuhi Hong frowned and looked at him, but she didn't see anything wrong. Instead, Naruto smiled shyly at her. "Naughty little devil, you sleep whenever you want. It almost scares people." Yuhi Hong said something different, scolding Naruto with her mouth, but praising him in her heart for how cute he was. Naruto chuckled and said, "That's because Teacher Hong cares too much about me." Hearing this, Shirai Hong was a little choked for words. It seems that this is indeed the case. She now has a very favorable impression of this little slipper who has only met a few times, even higher than the 3 apprentices who have been with her for several months. Suddenly, Yuhi Hong remembered that her 3 apprentices were still waiting for her to return on the street. "Just now I was thinking about sending Naruto to the hospital, and I forgot about the 3 of them. If I still have something to do, I'll leave first. I'll keep an eye on you. If everything is all right, I'll ask Sakura to take you home." "Well, bye, Teacher Hong." Naruto watched the beautiful Yuhi Kurenai leave, and then looked at Sakura, who had been silent in the corner. Naruto felt a little strange. According to common sense, Sakura should have been chattering endlessly in his ears. "Sakura, why do you talk so little all of a sudden?" "Naruto." Sakura raised her head, and then Naruto saw her eyes were red. Her voice was hoarse and she asked with sobs, "Am I useless? I couldn't help you just now." Having just seen Naruto faint, Sakura felt very guilty, blaming herself for holding her back. The sunlight entered through the window and fell on Naruto's forehead, illuminating his beautiful face tenderly. Sakura was looking forward to Naruto saying something to comfort her. "Really?" Naruto raised his hand to block the dazzling light, and smiled tenderly at Sakura. "You are very useless." When she was in ninja school, Sakura was always number 1 in theory classes. Although she was not good at hard skills, no one ever said she was useless. Naruto was number 1. The hurtful words came too suddenly. For a moment, Sakura couldn't react. She was stunned for a moment. Then she smiled reluctantly. The more she smiled, the uglier she became. The tears that had been accumulated for a long time fell from her eyes. Eyes dripping. "The apple in my hand is very sweet, and the scenery outside the window is too pleasant. When I walk to the window, I can clearly see the long legs in fishnet stockings walking around in 2s and 3s. After a few months, Naruto finally discovered that the world didn't seem to be interested in stockings, and that most people wore bare legs or fishnets. "Sakura, don't cry. Come over and look at the long, white legs of the big sisters. It will make you feel better." Naruto comforted Sakura the way he comforted his good brothers in his previous life. Sakura cried even harder. Asshole Naruto, you pervert, it's up to you to see what you want. Good. Naruto moved a chair and sat by the window to take a look. The girls here were quite polarized. As conservative as Hinata, she wears a cotton padded jacket in summer, and as beautiful as Ino, she wears a skirt in cold weather. As for Sakura, well, she seems to be somewhere in the middle between the two, not too conservative, but not too exposed either. You really looked at it. Sakura said angrily. Naruto nodded and asked strangely, didn't you let me see it? Hearing this, Sakura's expression fell into a trance, and a little confusion flashed in her eyes. Naruto. You seem to have changed. Have I not always been like this? No. Sakura shook her head sadly. In the past, Naruto would always comfort me whenever I was sad, and he would not deliberately speak to make me angry. It was past noon, the sun was slowly moving westward, and the northwest wind was whistling by, blowing the hair of Naruto and Sakura. Turning to look at Sakura's red eyes, Naruto accurately threw the apple core in his hand into the trash can and smiled at her. But isn't that kind of Uzumaki Naruto what you have always hated the most? The girl Sakura's pupils shrank and her face turned pale. Just like her mood at this moment, her long pink hair was messed up by the wind. I didn't, said something against her will, and Sakura herself lowered her head in shame. I'm sorry, Naruto. Yes, she had always hated Naruto who was stalking her, so who had the right to complain that Naruto had changed now? He had lost that Naruto. There's nothing to be sorry for. It's not me you're sorry for. Naruto leaned against the wall. Instead of thinking so much about the meaningless past, it's better to think more about the future. The future. Sakura sobbed, blinking her watery eyes. Yeah. Naruto said, for example, as we just talked about, you are really useless today. Hearing this, Sakura lowered her head again. She didn't know how to answer Naruto's words, and she wanted to run away. I want to help too. Well, I know you have this intention. Naruto nodded and said, so, you have to set a good position for yourself. Kakashi has already sent you to Konoha Hospital to study. You should also know that you are not a fighting talent, so when I fight with others, you have to hide, and when I'm injured, you come out and treat me. After hearing Naruto's words, Sakura's eyes were a little complicated. After a while, Sakura asked, then do you want me to be a good medical ninja? You shouldn't ask me this kind of thing, you should ask yourself whether you want to be a medical ninja. Naruto said, others can only give you opinions on how to go. In the end, it depends on whether you like it. After saying that, Naruto jumped out of the window. Now was the time left for Sakura to think. If he stayed, it would affect her to some extent, and he didn't want Sakura to blame him for making a certain decision in the future. Naruto Uzumaki has not considered taking responsibility for anyone's life for the time being. Seeing Naruto suddenly leave, Sakura was obviously stunned for a moment. She was just about to tell Naruto that if Naruto wanted her to be a medical ninja, then she would study hard. However, Naruto didn't give her a chance to say this. After coming out of the hospital, Naruto had a casual meal on the street, and then walked around to eat. When he got home, it was almost dark. Back on the bed, Naruto pulled up the quilt to cover his whole body, then opened his arms and waited for one to appear before calling Shiro. No matter how powerful the ANBU was, he didn't have good ears. As long as he spoke quietly enough, he couldn't hear him. No matter how good the third generation's telescope skills were, he couldn't see what Naruto was doing under the covers. Although it may be mistaken for the left and right hands in slow motion. But this is the most covert way of communication that Naruto can think of at present. Naruto-sama, do you have any instructions for me today? Bai's voice was still nice and gentle, so gentle that it was impossible to tell that he grew up with a terrifying ninja. Today, is there any information about the Akatsuki organization? Naruto was concise and to the point. Ever since the news about Asuma and Sasuke was released, he had been asking Haku to pay for the dead Kato and hire people to investigate. Now 2 people have gone to Tang Country to investigate the news we spread before. Bai said. Naruto was not surprised when he heard the news. It was 100% Uchiha Itachi and Inokaki Kisame. The brother he cared about the most was so humiliated, and Uchiha Itachi would definitely not be in a good mood. But the news came from Yuno Kuni. It was reasonable for Uchiha Itachi, who was not sure whether it was true or not, to take Kisame Kazaki to Yuno Kuni to investigate. Be careful not to let them find you, and don't handle everything yourself. Naruto reminded. As the saying goes, if you can spend money to deal with things, spend money to settle them and make this matter a piece of news. Yes. Bai still said very few words. As long as Shiro who spread the news cannot be found, Uchiha Itachi will definitely enter Konoha to investigate. As for who will have trouble after he comes, there is no telling. Naruto calculated the time and said, also, you can release some more false news as appropriate, and try to prevent them from going to the land of fire within a month while ensuring their own safety. Yes. Remember, ensure your own safety first. If there is a risk of exposure, stop the task immediately. Don't be stubborn about completing it. To be honest, Naruto cared more about Shiro's life than money. After all, that was a real knife that could do many things for him outside. Bai on the other side raised the corners of his mouth slightly after cutting off the contact, playing with his hair with his fingers, his face full of joy. Now she looks forward to Naruto contacting her every day, because this is the only time she can listen to the sound to relieve her fatigue. Ah, when will I see Naruto-sama again? I really want to be stepped on by him. A week later, the sun was shining brightly. Naruto got up, washed up, and stood in front of the life-size mirror to tidy up his appearance and comb his hair into an adult style. Thinking that he was going to take the Chunin exam next and might encounter some emergencies, Naruto changed his white clothes into stain-resistant black. On the way to the ninja school, I bought some delicious meat buns for breakfast today. As he walked, Naruto noticed something was wrong. The streets of Konoha today were a little strange, too quiet, and there was a faint mist all around. It was obviously sunny when I first went out. What a boring illusion. After finishing the meat buns and throwing the plastic bag into the trash can, Naruto stretched and continued walking forward. At this time, a masked man wearing a rain ninja forehead protector suddenly appeared in the fog in front of Naruto. He was also holding a child wearing a long blue scarf in his hand. Good morning Konohamaru. Naruto greeted Konohamaru in an unusually friendly manner, and then walked around the rain ninja. The rain ninja seemed to be stunned for 2 seconds, and then suddenly shouted, ha ha ha, I didn't expect to catch the grandson of the third Hokage. I have to take him back to the village to claim credit. However, Naruto still had no intention of coming back to save Konohamaru, and kept walking forward. Seeing Naruto's figure getting further and further away, Ninja scratched his head in confusion, grabbed Konohamaru and ran to Naruto, saying viciously, Kid, have you seen me? Oh, I didn't see it. Ren couldn't stand it any longer. The one I caught is the grandson of your third Hokage. Aren't you going to save him? Oh, then you should take him away quickly. Naruto reminded kindly, if you don't leave, you won't be able to leave when the third generation comes. For a moment, the scene fell into a strange awkwardness. Watching Naruto's back gradually fade away, Iruka released the transformation technique, and Konohamaru in his hand turned into a scarecrow. Iruka was a little confused. Did Naruto pass or fail this small test before the exam? Staring at the scene in the third Hokage's crystal ball, Akamichi Tingzao frowned. Why does this disciple of Kakashi not value his partners so much? Can such a person really be trusted to become a ninja? Everyone else present had similar feelings, especially Mitarashi Anko. Looking at Naruto who was indifferent to Konohamaru's safety, she approached Yuhi Kurenai with some disappointment and said, Hong, this little guy has a bad character. Don't talk nonsense. Yuhi Hong retorted. Naruto should have realized that something was wrong. Haha, if you really find that something is wrong, you should have a fight with the rain ninja pretending to be Iruka. It would be too much to just leave like this. Enko complained for a while and noticed that Yuhi Hong's expression was already slightly impatient. She muttered in a low voice, Forget it, I will help you train her when the time comes. Just teach her well. Haha, stop arguing. Sandai smiled and took a puff of his cigarette. Anyway, Naruto was not confused this time, even if he passed. The third generation's guess was similar to Yuhi Kurenai's. He also felt that with Naruto's strength, he might have done this because he had discovered it long ago. After all, Naruto's desperate attempt to save Konohamaru happened just a few days ago, so the third generation had no reason to doubt Naruto. It's just that the third generation never thought about defending Naruto. If others are willing to misunderstand, then just misunderstand him. The deeper the misunderstanding, the better. In the end, it would be up to him or Konohamaru to solve Naruto's problem. Kurenai Yuhi and Sandai guessed half of it right. Naruto did find out from the beginning that those things were all fake, but he never thought that it was true that he went to save Konohamaru, even if it was just Konohamaru turned into a scarecrow. A week ago, Naruto kindly rescued Konohamaru from the ungrateful Kankuro. Naruto also thought that the third generation might show kindness to him, but it turned out that the third generation's lesson came first. The next day, Sandai came to him and told him a lot of nonsense, such as how to be kind to others, and how to tolerate when the village didn't say anything, etc., which really disgusted Naruto. He was simply teaching Naruto how to be a turtle. It's really hopeless to think of yourself as a and try to make others become a too. Naruto didn't leave for long, and the surroundings resumed the flow of people. Many customers gathered in the shops in the streets and alleys. When he passed by the flower shop of the Yamanaka family, he saw a familiar figure. After the beautiful-looking blonde girl saw Naruto, the corners of her lips curved up slightly, and she trotted closer to Naruto. Naruto, long time no see. Well, long time no see. Naruto looked at Ino, who was dressed in a more open style, and asked, "Do you want to go to school together?" "Oh, how did you know that I'm going to school too?" Ino's eyes were filled with smiles. Her hair swayed slightly when she reached out to rub her chin. She asked with a smile, "Are you secretly paying attention to me?" "Nerve. My hobbies are similar to Nohara Shinosuke. You are not my type. I pay attention to what you do." Naruto said calmly. "Aren't you going? Then I will go by myself." "Hey, why are you like this? Wait for me." Ino followed Naruto's footsteps and walked side by side with Naruto, hands behind their backs. Naruto didn't take the initiative to talk to her. She waited for a while and took the initiative to think of a topic. "Naruto, were you in danger just now?" "No." Naruto said calmly. "Ah, how could it be?" Ino said angrily when he heard this. "I thought it was a test that everyone encounters. Am I the only one?" "Maybe." Naruto nodded and treated Ino perfunctorily. His answer immediately made Ino fearful. Ino first told Naruto about the situation she encountered and asked whether it was because the village felt that she was not strong enough, so they came up with this to test her. Naruto said it was possible. Ino was even more disappointed. The two chatted while walking, and not long after, they met Choji and Shikamaru who were waiting for Ino on the road near the ninja school. Choji was a little happy to see Naruto. Naruto had a good relationship with him and Shikamaru when they were still in the ninja school. After leaving the ninja school, they hadn't spoken to each other properly for several months. After chatting for a while, Choji suddenly handed Naruto a bag of potato chips. Naruto was wondering when Choji, a foodie, would be so generous with food, when Choji asked, "Naruto, do you know the inside story about Asuma-sensei and Sasuke?" Hearing this, Ino and Shikamaru immediately pricked up their ears to listen. The two of them had wanted to ask for a long time. One was a mentor Junin and the other was a former classmate. Things about these two people were really exciting to them. Now Asuma is still in confinement, and the elders in the family are unwilling to disclose it. At an age where they want to know everything, their curiosity is getting stronger and stronger. It's just that Shikamaru didn't think it was good to ask Naruto directly, and Ino was worried that mentioning Sasuke in front of Naruto would make the stingy man angry again. Only Choji tries to get information using a bag of potato chips. Meeting the burning gazes of the three people, Naruto knew that this matter had probably spread throughout the ninja circle, and he suddenly felt a moment of silence for Sasuke. There were huge clouds floating in the sky, temporarily blocking the blazing sun from the ninja school. Four boys and girls were talking quietly at the school gate. The expressions on their faces changed greatly, and they were uncertain. Naruto glanced at the three of them, and then lowered his voice and continued, "At that time, I lifted the quilt of that beast Asuma and saw Sasuke shivering inside. It was really pitiful." As soon as these words came out, Zuludi and the other two people instantly lost their composure. This is impossible. Shikamaru couldn't help but said. I remember Asuma only liked Kurenai-sensei. The next moment, Naruto patted Shikamaru on the shoulder and said with a cold smile, Beni-sensei. Haha, if my guess is correct, Beni-sensei should be just a tool used by Asuma to cover up his abnormal psychology. Otherwise, think about it, Asuma keeps saying that she and teacher Hong have been childhood sweethearts for more than 20 years. This is not more than 20 days, not more than 20 hours, but more than 20 years. Shikamaru, do you think you can't catch a woman after more than 20 years? Shikamaru thought for a moment, although chasing a woman sounds troublesome, but more than 20 years is indeed an exaggeration. You have to be so stupid to not be able to chase her. So Shikamaru, who didn't know that licking a dog would lead to a good death, shook his head. Then Naruto said, so you guys think about it again, if Asuma didn't really pursue Kurenai-sensei, wouldn't it be more reasonable? Naruto spoke as if he was carrying a magical voice, which made people want to believe it. The more Ino Shikacho and the three of them thought about it, the more frightened they became, especially Shikamaru and Choji. As boys, they swallowed in fear and trembled when they thought of spending so much time with Asuma. Oh my god, I have been led by a pervert for so long. Seeing that the three of them were really doubting Asuma, Naruto felt inexplicably relieved. One last reminder. At this time, Naruto, who was in high spirits, put his arms around the shoulders of Ino and Shikamaru at the same time, and then looked at Choji opposite. His expression suddenly became serious. Ino's body suddenly trembled, and her eyes moved to her left shoulder. The clothes she was wearing were sleeveless. The warmth of the young man's palm came from the skin on her shoulder, and her heartbeat inexplicably accelerated a little. What's wrong, Naruto? You must not tell others that I said this. I regard you as my best friend. I am worried that you will be hurt by Asuma before I tell you. If you talk nonsense, it will hurt me, then we will break off our friendship. Naruto warned very seriously. Choji and Shikamaru looked at each other, both silently guarding the backyard, and solemnly promised, well, we will definitely not say that it was you who told the story. Okay, everything that needs to be said is said. It's almost time for us to go in. Naruto said with satisfaction. At this time, Ino grabbed Naruto's clothes and said softly, let Shikamaru and Choji go in first. I have something to tell you. You two have a good chat, bye. I have to say that Shikamaru is really good at judging the situation, and after hearing Ino's words, he immediately dragged Choji away. Ino silently gave Shikamaru a thumbs up. Only then did Naruto realize that he had hugged Ino at some point. He quickly put his hands down from Ino's shoulders and said with some embarrassment, I'm sorry, Ino, I didn't pay attention just now. Ino looked at Naruto, feeling slightly disappointed, and said with a carefree appearance, that's weird, I don't blame you, we are good friends. He was relieved to hear that she didn't blame Naruto. Well, what do you want to tell me? Naruto. Ino observed the surroundings, then lowered his voice and said, not only do you have to guard against Asuma, but you'd better stay away from Sasuke. In order to prevent Naruto from misunderstanding, Ino quickly added, I'm worried about you, after all, Sasuke is not clean either. Seeing Ino's overly serious expression, Naruto suddenly felt a little sorry for Sasuke. I hope Sasuke will not commit suicide because of the misunderstanding of the villagers. Amen. When Naruto and Ino arrived at the examination site, they were already surrounded by ninjas from various ninja villages. Shikamaru and Choji were entangled by the big horn Inuzuka Kiba of Class 8. Looking at their expressions, Naruto could guess that Kiba was asking them about Asuma. Shino was still a silent man, while Hinata and Naruto looked at each other and lowered their heads shyly. Naruto noticed some changes in Hinata. She was not wearing a cotton-padded jacket today, but had changed into a small blue cheongsam. Although she was still very conservative, she no longer looked like a fool. Just as he was about to step forward to say hello to Hinata, Sakura's voice came from behind. Naruto, why are you walking with an obor? Huh. Ino immediately turned around and yelled at her, you're an ugly guy with a wide forehead. Who do you think you are? Naruto goes with whoever he likes. Are you being too lenient? Sakura stood next to Naruto, pulled him over forcefully, and then said to Ino, because you are a pig and Naruto is a human. How can humans and pigs walk together? Wide forehead, are you looking for death? Yeah, what do you want? Listening to the noise between the two, Naruto silently shook off Sakura's hand and took a few steps back. If it were two big sisters with bulging fronts and backs quarreling, Naruto might still be in the mood to watch. But if little girls quarrel, let them quarrel. I won't accompany you, so I'll take my leave. Hinata, long time no see. Naruto was about to say hello to the cute Hinata again, but suddenly a watermelon peel appeared in the middle of the road. You are Uzumaki Naruto. Xiao Li, who was wearing a green tights and had a mushroom head with thick eyebrows and round eyes, stretched out his hand to block Naruto's way. Naruto thought for a while, and it seemed that he and Xiao Li didn't know each other now. What do you want from me? Come with me to the open space downstairs to show off. Xiao Li said, but he didn't seem to take Naruto seriously at all. He glanced behind Naruto at Sakura, who was still arguing with Ino. Naruto immediately understood the reason. It was probably that Xiao Li had just met Sakura and fell in love at first sight, so he came to find trouble after the courtship failed. I have to complain about why the children here are so precocious, and all of them are harboring puppy love. Nervous. Naruto ignored Xiao Li. There was no point in fighting a guy who couldn't even find options. HMPH. Xiao Li got into a fighting stance. Naruto Uzumaki, if you are a man, then have a battle with me for Miss Sakura. Huh. Naruto frowned. In the spacious classroom, other people also noticed this side because of Xiao Li's words, and many people looked like they were waiting for a good show. Xiao Li's two teammates, Hyuga Neji and Tenten, looked over, and Tenten's eyes lit up when he saw Naruto. She had seen this young man before and thought she would never meet him again. It's that disgusting thick eyebrow again. Sakura was immediately annoyed when she saw this. Just now, this thick eyebrow that she didn't recognize at all came to her to express his love for no reason. Then she said that the person she liked was called Uzumaki Naruto and ran away quickly. She didn't expect that this thick eyebrow would directly come to Naruto. Sakura was about to go up to Xiao Li to reason. However, at this moment, the classroom door was suddenly kicked open. Sasuke, whom he had not seen for a long time, walked into the classroom with his hands in his pockets and his head raised. Hey, that guy with the thick eyebrows over there, you'd better get out of here now. Sasuke said in an arrogant tone, Naruto's opponent is me. The sky cleared up and the rain stopped, and Urzuzi felt that he was doing well again. Who are you? Looking at the boy who was kicking the door to the point where he couldn't hold it any longer, Xiao Li was a little surprised by the momentum that the other party exuded. He clenched his fists and prepared himself, but the other party didn't seem to take him seriously and looked straight at Uzumaki Ming, whom he wanted to challenge. People. Urzuju tilted his mouth slightly to the left when he heard this. Today is the first step to restore the reputation of the Uchiha clan. He pointed his thumb backwards and said. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. The classroom at Nuo University fell silent for an instant. Just now there were countless voices, but now the sound of the breeze caressing the willows could almost be heard. Sasuke disdainfully put his hands back into his trouser pockets, the pride in his heart reaching its peak. Hehe, is this what Kakashi said, that those taking part in the Chunin exam are all elites? This is intimidated by the reputation of the Uchiha clan. They are considered elites, but that's right. Not everyone has the courage to look directly at the Uchiha name. Except Naruto. Sasuke looked at Naruto with burning eyes. After the crazy training set by Kakashi, his strength has improved by leaps and bounds during this period. Compared with the last time he fought Naruto, there has been a qualitative change. Now if he had another fight with Naruto, Sasuke would have enough confidence to remain invincible. While his thoughts were in turmoil, Naruto in front of him was suddenly pulled behind by Sakura and Ino. These two women blocked his sight and carefully protected Naruto. Strange, is Naruto injured? Sasuke frowned and whispered, who else can hurt Naruto? After scanning the entire field, Sasuke locked onto a few targets with strong momentum. Zigwapi, who had just attempted to challenge Naruto, had already hid behind him when he heard his name. There was a Hyuga clan white eye next to Zigwapi. Sasuke just glanced at him and he immediately tilted his head away. Huh, dignified Hinata is as timid as a mouse. In the center of the classroom, there was a red-haired Tsunagaker carrying a big gourd. He was staring at Naruto. Sasuke could feel his fighting spirit, but when he made eye contact with Sasuke, he immediately closed his eyes covered with dark circles. Eyes. Haha, Sunagakure ninja, nothing more than that. There was a weird man covered in bandages behind him, who looked quite strong, but Sasuke soon overturned this idea because the bandaged man immediately lowered his head when he met his eyes. Hey, a small country and a weak person cannot be noticed. Sure enough, only Naruto is qualified to be my opponent. As for the other genin in the same class, Sasuke didn't take them seriously at all. Naruto, during this Chunin exam, I hope the two of us can have a chance to fight. Sasuke walked up to Naruto and said. Pulling away the wary-looking Ino and Sakura, Naruto responded, yes, I'm also looking forward to your improvement in strength. It turned out that Sasuke was just looking for a fight with Naruto-kun. Hinata, who walked to Naruto at some point, breathed a sigh of relief. While Naruto and Sasuke were talking, the genin in the classroom and their group members gathered around and whispered. Xiao Li, is that the defiled Uchiha Sasuke? Hyuga Neji. Looking at the clan emblem on his back, it should be right. Tiantian. Ningji, be careful. As for Xiao Li being ugly, don't worry too much. Xiao Li. Tenten looked at Naruto, and the dim light in the classroom shone on the outline of his face, as if adding a filter. Tenten felt that if he had a chance to speak, he should remind the blonde boy. Among the crowd, the inconspicuous Kabuto Yakushi pushed up his glasses. Are those the eyes Orochimaru-sama wants? At the same time, when Kakashi, who had just returned to the village with Sasuke, was wandering on the street, he heard foreign ninjas discussing some inexplicable remarks. Hey, have you heard that something like that happened to the orphan of the Uchiha clan? Well, I saw the news on the way here. It is said that the son of the third Hokage forced him. The Uchiha are so pitiful. They have all been exterminated. In the end, even the last orphan did not end well. Kakashi was confused when he heard that he was the son of the third Hokage. Isn't that Asuma? When did Asuma and Sasuke meet? How come he, the mentor Junin, didn't know about it? Could it have happened before graduating from the ninja school? That's not right. If something really happened, as the elite Jonin in the village, I have no reason not to know the news. After thinking about it, Kakashi decided to find someone to ask. Everyone, what are you talking about? Could you please tell me too? But the other party just looked at him and refused. As expected, after all, discussing Konoha's private affairs in front of Konoha ninjas, the other party might think that he was angry. Alas, it seems that I can only go to Asuma in person to ask about the situation. The first round of the Chunin exam officially started when Kakashi went to find Asuma. The first is a written test, which tests the ability to collect intelligence. The examination room has arranged in advance a few people who are good at solving questions to sneak in and take the test, while the rest of the people have to show off their special skills and use their cheating abilities without being caught by the examiner. Discover. Of course, except for Sakura, who is already strong in theoretical knowledge and doesn't need to cheat. Naruto's seat was next to Hinata. Naruto, who knew the development of the story, had no intention of writing at all and just continued to follow the plot line. But he knows things that others don't know. Hinata saw that Naruto had not moved, and she was worried that Naruto might not pass the test, so she took the initiative to put out her paper and moved it towards Naruto. His attitude was already clear, so he just asked Naruto to copy it. But Naruto was too lazy to write. Hinata looked anxious and wished she could just pull Naruto's paper over to help him write, but she was afraid of being discovered and expelled, so she didn't dare to make any big moves, so she could only remind him as quietly as possible. Naruto-kun, you can copy my test paper. Don't copy. Naruto sat bored and yawned. It was not only Hinata who was worried about Naruto, but also Ino. Some time after the exam started, Ino turned around and possessed Sakura with his heart, then copied Sakura's answers, and then helped Shikamaru and Choji on the same team prepare the test papers. When she thought everything was fine, Ino suddenly found that Naruto was still in a daze, just like when he started the exam. That idiot didn't realize the purpose of this exam. Out of worry, Ino made the seal of the heart turning technique towards Naruto for the second time. The moment it was activated, Ino's physical body fell asleep on the desk, and then her spirit entered Naruto's body. However, what Ino never expected was that instead of taking over Naruto's body, she saw an extremely terrifying scene. In the mental space, a huge red beast as big as a mountain released its evil aura and stared at her with its scarlet eyes. Insect. Kyuubi roared, causing huge waves. Kuro Lama, stop. Naruto noticed something strange, entered the space and spoke to stop the Kyuubi's power, and released chakra to protect Ino's mind in time. Just a little bit, Ino was about to be frightened out of his wits by the extremely terrifying evil spirit. Kyuubi glanced at Ino with disdain, then lay down in the cage and continued sleeping, as calmly as if nothing had happened. Thinking of the water flowing in the dark space like a huge wave just now, and the tall and terrifying beast, Ino's soul trembled and she broke into a cold sweat. Naruto, what is that? Ino hid behind Naruto, pulling on the corner of Naruto's clothes, trembling uncontrollably. Just now, if Naruto had been a step later, she would have collapsed. Naruto looked calm and asked, "Why did you use telekinesis on me?" "I want to help you with the papers." Ino glanced at him, her eyes were misty, her nose was twitching, she was really frightened. Naruto was helpless and slapped her head in an angry and funny tone, "Don't use the heart-turning technique indiscriminately. You might end up harming yourself. Go back." Her question had not been answered yet, and Ino wanted to ask more, but the next second she had returned to her body. Looking up at Naruto's back, she remembered the rumors she had heard about Naruto since she was a child. Many people privately discussed that Naruto was a fox demon that harmed the village. After the first exam, the examiner of the second exam, Midori Anko, broke the glass and rushed into the classroom to attract everyone's attention. At this moment, Naruto turned to look at Ino. Their eyes collided, and something strange flashed through Ino's heart. How can it be? I don't believe Naruto is a harmful monster. There must be something hidden. Pursing her lips, Ino decided to go home and ask her father about the situation. After all, her father was also the leader of the Yamanaka clan, and the previous generation Ino Shikacho must know something. Midori Anko informed that the second exam would be tomorrow. The remaining candidates left separately. Ino was the fastest runner and was the first to rush out of the classroom after the exam. Then Hinata was about to leave, and she mustered up the courage to wave to Naruto. "Naruto-kun, see you tomorrow. Bye Hinata." Naruto smiled at Hinata. "The clothes you wore today look pretty good." Hinata's bright white eyes were stained with shame. She really couldn't bear Naruto's compliments, so she turned away with a blushing face. "As long as Naruto-kun likes it. The clothes I wore today were changed because of Naruto-kun. Last time, Naruto-kun said that he wanted to wear something cooler, so he changed into a half-sleeved cheongsam and thin pants." "Hey, Naruto, why are you bullying Hinata?" Inuzuka Kiba, who has always been mentally unstable, appeared. "You were blind and saw me bullying Hinata." Naruto said, "If you don't need your eyes, you can donate them to others." Hinata also shook her head and said, "Naruto-kun, he didn't bully me." As if he couldn't understand the words, Ya continued, "Naruto, fight with me. During this time, I have specially prepared the super powerful secret techniques in the family for you and Uchiha Sasuke. This time, I will never lose again." Naruto finally figured it out. This guy wasn't standing up for Hinata at all, he was just looking for trouble. It's a pity that he is still a piece of garbage that doesn't even trigger the choice. Before Naruto could respond, someone stood between the two of them. "I challenged Uzumaki Naruto first, he should fight me first," Xiao Li said. Not far away, Tiantian and Nechi had a headache. Tiantian urged, "Xiao Li, we should go. You guys go first, I can handle it by myself." Xiao Li looked at Naruto and said, "For Miss Sakura, fight with me, Uzumaki Naruto. That watermelon rind over there, don't you understand human language?" Sasuke stood up and said, "Naruto is going to be defeated by me." Xiao Li's expression paused slightly, but remembering that Tiantian had just said that he was ugly and there was no danger, he suddenly became hardened again. "HMPH, not only Uzumaki Naruto, but also you and I will challenge you, I also want to see the defiled Uchiha geniuses have some strength." Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Sasuke frowned. wondering what kind of nickname the tarnished Uchiha genius had. Is this watermelon peel insulting the name Uchiha? Sasuke looked unhappy for a moment. Are you deliberately seeking death? Then we have to see your strength. Xiao Li looked at him. Seeing that several people were completely ignoring him, Inuzuka Kiba clenched his fists and glared angrily. Hey, you guys, are you looking down on me? Clearly, he was right. It's true that no one thinks highly of him. At this moment, a strong murderous intention approached several people, which was horrifying. Naruto Uzumaki, let's fight. Gaara stood behind Naruto, his mouth wide open with a terrifying expression. Feeling this momentum, the candidates still in the classroom trembled involuntarily. Sakura looked stunned and recognized Gaara as the Sunagaku genin who had fought with Naruto a few days ago. She decisively put her hand into her ninja tool bag and was ready for battle at any time. Hinata leaned towards Naruto weakly. Although she was introverted and dared not say anything, she wanted to help Naruto. Temari behind Gaara swallowed, and cold sweat flowed from her forehead. Now Kankuro is still lying in Konoha Hospital, and the original team of 3 siblings has also changed. Temari really didn't want to face Naruto again, but she couldn't control Gaara. Suddenly, Naruto turned his head and glanced at Temari, startling her eyelids. Fortunately, Naruto immediately moved his gaze to other places. Gaara, Sasuke, Lee. Are these 3 people going to challenge me? No, there seems to be another Inuzuka Kiba. Actively choose to trigger. Multiple people challenge you one after another. You feel like they are as noisy as a group of mosquitoes flying around your ears at night. You are in a bad mood, so you will choose. Option 1. Stay friendly. Apologize to all challengers and declare that you only want to be good friends with them and do not want to fight or kill them. Completion reward. Talent. Fear of trouble. Talent. Afraid of getting into trouble. The less you resist, the more you will be bullied, and it will be easier for others to be malicious towards you. Option 2. Kill the chicken to scare the monkeys. Kill one of them instantly and shock the whole audience. Completion reward. 3 random wind escape ninjutsu. Choice 3. Arrogant. Make an appointment to fight tomorrow, in the Forest of Death, and defeat all challengers. Completion reward. Randomly 10 fire escape ninjutsu. Choice 4. Dominate the moment. In the second round of the Chunin examination, all contestants will be eliminated without distinction. Completion reward. Wind release spinning shuriken. Oh my, you are so popular. Naruto glanced around, smiled and shouted loudly, it's a pity that it's too troublesome to fight one by one. You can do it together tomorrow. As soon as these words came out, a dull and suffocating atmosphere filled the classroom, as if time had been compressed and everything slowed down. No one knows why this yellow-haired boy named Uzumaki Naruto dares to be so rampant in the face of challenges from so many people, but it is obvious that Naruto has successfully angered everyone who challenged him. The grass ninja wearing a straw hat in the corner stuck out his long tongue. HMPH, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, that's interesting. Home in the mountains. Ino, why are you asking? Yamanaka Hai was stunned for a while. Looking at the expectant look on his little cotton-padded jacket, he suddenly realized something, came back to his senses and scolded. You must have some unwanted thoughts about that child. Bar. You don't learn well at a young age. Didn't I tell you before not to get too close to that kid Naruto? Yamanaka Haiichi scolded her a few times, and when he saw his daughter's expression changing from expectant to disappointed, he felt uncomfortable. As a fairly open-minded father, he actually didn't want to interfere with his daughter's personal affairs, but he couldn't do it when it came to Jinchuriki. All major Konoha clans have basically received clear instructions from the Hokage. Except for the Sarutobi clan, no one is allowed to get too close to the Jinchuriki. If Ino was a boy, it would be fine just being friends with the Jinchuriki, but she was a girl. Lord Hokage will not allow a Jinchuriki to be related by marriage to the Yamanaka clan. Don't ask any more about this matter. Go back to your room and rest. Ino was driven back to her room. She couldn't figure out why her father wouldn't let her and Naruto get close, and why his father wouldn't tell her about Naruto. Is Naruto really the fox demon who harmed the village? Impossible. Naruto had clearly protected himself from the fox demon before. That one is the fox demon, he is not. But Ino couldn't figure out why there was a fox demon in Naruto's spiritual world. There must be some hidden secret inside that I don't know about. Ino had been lying on the bed thinking about Naruto and the fox demon. She didn't even go when her mother called her to eat. It wasn't until the evening that she used her brain too much and couldn't stop feeling sleepy and fell asleep. The next day, when Naruto arrived at the meeting point for the second exam, the sun was already in the center of the sky. At this time, most of the candidates were present. When they saw Naruto, they all made way for him, not because Naruto frightened them, but because it was a common human problem to eat melons and watch movies. After the exam yesterday, Naruto directly answered the challenge from Inuzuka Kiba, Lee, Sasuke and Gaara. Therefore, the candidates at the scene also wanted to have fun and learn about their strength and fighting methods to increase their chances of advancement. The arrogant boy actually dares to accept the challenge from 4 people at the same time. What if someone is very strong and confident in themselves? Oh, no matter how strong he is, how strong can he be? The people who challenge him are not simple except for their green clothes. They are very valuable. This blonde boy is totally destined to die. The one with the gourd on his back is the son of the Kazekage, the one with the dog on his head is the young master of the Inuzuka clan, and the one in blue clothes is the orphan of the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan, could it be the Sasuke who was violated? Hey, he's quite handsome, what a pity. Before he finished speaking, he noticed that several people who had invited him to fight gathered together, and the whispering genin immediately stopped and dispersed. Sasuke glanced at them indifferently. Since yesterday, he had heard many people say, violated, and other completely incomprehensible words. But he didn't take it seriously. The most important thing now was to defeat Naruto and restore the glory of Uchiha. Seeing several people gathered around him, Naruto yawned calmly. It was not the time to start the fight yet. The option required was to enter the forest of death. So the time for Naruto to invite them to fight was after the exam started today. The atmosphere was solemn, and no one spoke first. At this time, the first person to speak would appear to be a lower level than others. Temari, who was following Gaara, glanced at Naruto nervously. She had witnessed with her own eyes how strong Naruto was. She was very afraid that Naruto would hit Gaara on the head here, and then he would go crazy and destroy the plan made by Sunagakure village. While he was thinking about it, Ino also saw Naruto. Remembering his father's instructions yesterday, his expression changed slightly. After gritting his teeth and struggling, Ino came to Naruto and greeted him. Good morning, Naruto. Naruto nodded slightly but did not respond. Ino gave Naruto a slight elbow and said displeased ly. How did I offend you again? I didn't even say anything. Naruto remained unmoved. His attention was on observing the Kusanagi opposite him, who seemed to have noticed his gaze and gave him a cold smile. Naruto's expression darkened and he quickly lowered his gaze. Orochimaru was indeed present. Are you here for Sasuke's body? It seems that we have to deal with all the challengers in one day and then hide quickly, otherwise it will not be fun if Orochimaru beats Sasuke and beats me too. Sakura, who had just arrived in the distance, saw Ino chatting with Naruto and immediately rushed over. Ino, stay away from Naruto. You ugly guy with a wide forehead, why don't you stay away from Naruto? Naruto and I are teammates on the same team, so it's you who should go. Ino frowned when she heard this. She felt that Sakura was deliberately against her. She clearly liked Sasuke, but now she wanted to compete with her for Naruto. Grabbing Naruto's arm, Ino said provocatively, I won't leave. What do you want to do? Just a little. Sakura's mouth twitched. Not to be outdone, she hugged Naruto's other arm and pulled her towards her. Naruto, come here, ignore her. Seeing this scene, Xiao Li, who fell in love with Sakura at first sight, was heartbroken. He shouted tremblingly, Miss Sakura, please look at me. I am definitely better than Uzumaki Naruto. Suddenly, Sakura felt that Naruto seemed to become more beautiful, with fair complexion, clear eyes, and his whole body seemed to be coated with a layer of golden light. Then Sakura glared at Xiao Li decisively and scolded, get out. How can you compare to Naruto in terms of confidence? Alas. Naruto sighed softly and couldn't help but said, Sakura, what you said is a bit too hurtful. I'm just telling the truth. Sakura said. Hearing this, Xiao Li broke his guard. It was like he was hit by an arrow in the knee, and he knelt straight on the ground and cried. Suddenly, a figure flew past, and Midori Anko's back fell from the sky. She entered the room again in an extremely pretentious manner, causing a commotion. Those little brats over there, please stop arguing. If you want to argue, go inside the examination room and make enough noise. Hongdu turned around and looked at everyone. The big D shook slightly. Everyone, please put your ears up and listen to me explain the rules. For each group of people here, half will get the scroll of heaven and the other half will get the scroll of earth. If you want to win, you must use the scroll of heaven and earth. You can use any method, even killing people. Now, let the fight begin. At the same time, in a training ground in Konoha, Kakashi and another Jonin had just finished a sparring session and were now sitting on the grass to rest. Kakashi, your disciple has an appointment with my disciple. Did you hear about it? The Junin who spoke was surprisingly similar to Xiao Li, both wearing green tights and mushroom heads. He is the taijutsu master of Konoha, Metkai nicknamed the Blue Beast. There is nothing to worry about. Kakashi said calmly. I don't think Naruto will lose. He is very strong. Metkai laughed loudly. Let's wait and see, Xiao Li will definitely be stronger. Since everyone thought that their disciple would win, there was nothing to talk about. Metkai changed the topic and asked about Sasuke. What happened to the Uchiha boy? It's just a rumor. Sasuke has been trained by me during this period. How could he have anything to do with Asuma? How about the effect of practice? Well, how should I put it, he is progressing very quickly. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said confidently, I think he is now stronger than Naruto. Hearing this, Metkai looked stunned for a moment and said in surprise, last time we met, you said that Naruto's strength is much higher than Sasuke's. Because I taught Chidori to Sasuke. What? Also, his Sharingan is now a 3 Magatama. The 3 Magatama Sharingan is basically the strongest form of most Uchiha clan, and its impact on strength can be said to be dramatic. Sasuke's progress was so fast that it shocked even Kakashi, a genius. He thought that Naruto had been wandering around the village during this period and would not make much progress. The Rasengan plus a little Nine-Tails chakra was no longer enough. Kakashi didn't realize that Naruto's progress had anything to do with him as a mentor. He ignored that Naruto was already the strongest genin without anyone's help. In the Forest of Death, Naruto tied the forehead protector on his arm and murmured in a low voice, now, the game begins. The atmosphere in the Death Forest is very strange. There are snakes, insects, rats and ants all around, and the sun above the head doesn't seem that bright. Flocks of crows cawing in the big trees, full of weirdness and ominousness. Sasuke's arrogant words rang in his ears. Naruto, you who are living happily in the village may not realize how much hardship I have endured in order to defeat you. Training like crazy day and night, just to improve my speed and strength. Walking on a huge boulder, being electrocuted by Kakashi, practicing under the water flow. After suffering so much, I finally got to master the ninjutsu that I will prepare for you before the Chunin exams. I am very strong now. Sasuke raised his hand. His originally fair skin was now scarred with traces of training. This was his badge of honor. As for Naruto, every day in the village, he only eats and sleeps. He just feels tired if he doesn't complete any tasks. Faced with such a degenerate Naruto who did not seek to improve, Sasuke believed that he could win. Definitely. Naruto. Sasuke clenched his palm into a fist, pointed his thumb at his scarlet 3 Magatama Sharingan, and said proudly, this time, you'd better use your full strength from the beginning, otherwise, I'm afraid you will lose. It's so miserable. After listening to Sasuke's words, Sakura looked at Naruto with worry and swelling. She wanted to persuade the two of them to stop fighting, but it was obvious that neither of them would listen to her. Sakura could only stand and watch from a distance, patiently waiting for the battle to end before using the medical ninjutsu she had recently learned to heal the two of them. Naruto, please don't get hurt too badly. Let's do it, Naruto. Sasuke put his hands together and was ready to form a seal at any time. He was going to use a big move at the beginning to catch Naruto by surprise. Naruto pondered for a moment and stretched his muscles a little. Seeing Sasuke's confidence, Naruto was a little surprised. Before, he was always crushing him, but now Sasuke is still confident that he can defeat him. That's probably a big improvement. I originally chose to fight Sasuke first because I wanted to finish the fight quickly and leave him quickly, lest Orochimaru come looking for him at any time. But now it looks like it might be a bit tricky. In this case, then go all out. With a long breath, Naruto covered his whole body with Nine Tails chakra without hesitation. He used the demon fox coat for the first time and ran towards Sasuke at full speed. With the nine-tailed chakra, the teleportation technique, and the physical enhancement he received last time, Naruto was much faster than when he was in the Land of Waves. After all, you are facing one of the two biggest losers in the ninja world. The loser has trained hard, so naturally he has to go all out to give him considerable respect. So fast. The speed was so fast that Sasuke didn't even have time to make a sound, and Naruto flashed in front of him in an instant. Sasuke's pupils shrank, he quickly formed seals and shouted, "Chidori!" The lightning burst, and the first bird chirped and screamed, but then a flash of blue light suddenly flashed from behind, and Naruto had already pinched the Rasengan and smashed it towards Sasuke's back. All this happened so fast, Sasuke didn't even have time to wave the Chidori before his vision went dark. When Sasuke woke up again, he was already lying on the ground, his head hurting, and his back seemed to have been hit hard, and the pain was unbearable. Looking sideways, Sakura was using medical ninjutsu to treat him. "Sakura, where is Naruto?" "Naruto said he went to find other challengers and asked me to stay here to heal your injuries. He will be back later." Sakura smiled lightly and seemed to be in a good mood. Originally, Sakura was extremely worried after hearing Sasuke's words of coaxing, but she was knocked down by Naruto in an instant. She didn't even understand why Sasuke lost. She had worried for nothing. He glanced at Sasuke and thought to himself, "I didn't expect that Sasuke, whom I liked before, was still a braggart. Sasuke, why don't you just challenge Naruto if you have nothing to do? If you can't beat him again and again, it's your fault for hurting the harmony of our class." When Sasuke heard this, he recalled the previous battle between him and Naruto in his mind. His Sharingan actually captured Naruto's body movements, but it was only captured by his eyes, and his body's speed could not keep up at all. How could it be possible? How could it be possible? Sasuke's heart trembled. He practiced so hard just to defeat Naruto. It turned out to be useless, and the ending was exactly the same. The first two times he was defeated by one blow, but this time it was still one blow. All the sweat and effort he put in could not be exchanged for Naruto's second blow. For a moment, Sasuke felt like there was a huge boulder on his back. Naruto was that boulder, and no matter how hard he tried, he could never compare. How can it be repaired? Regardless of the injuries on his body, Sasuke pounded the ground violently. He had doubts about himself. Is Naruto too strong or is he too weak? When can such a weak person kill Uchiha Itachi to avenge his parents? Can it really be done? Sakura was speechless. It wasn't the first time she lost to Naruto. Why did she get angry? Why didn't she realize that Sasuke was so childish before? Forget it, it doesn't matter whether he makes a fuss or not. Just before Naruto left, he told Sakura to heal Sasuke and then hide alone and stay away from Sasuke. Sakura was so happy. She felt that this was Naruto's domineering declaration that she was not allowed to get close to other boys. Hehehehe. Sakura happily hummed a tune. She planned to find some topic to calm Sasuke's mood, so that Sasuke wouldn't go crazy on the spot. "Sasuke, have you ever met Asuma-sensei?" Sakura asked. "I've seen it before, but I'm not familiar with it." Sasuke's voice was hoarse. "That's really strange, why are there rumors about your affair with him everywhere now?" Sakura said blankly. Southwest of the Death Forest. Naruto looked around for traces of the remaining challengers, somewhat bored. "You can hide it pretty well. Where did you go?" It was probably because the rules Anko told them before were so scary that they all found a place to hide, but with Gaara's arrogant character, they probably wouldn't be able to hide. It was even possible that while Naruto was looking for him, he was also looking for Naruto. Yawning out of boredom, Naruto continued to wander around. Now that he had beaten Sasuke to pieces, there were only 3 more to go. He finished it quickly and had a good rest. I don't know when Orochimaru will go find Sasuke. Naruto thought to himself, if it were him who taught Sasuke, I guess Sasuke wouldn't stretch his hips like this. Following Kakashi, he would learn nothing but show off. Thinking of this, Naruto couldn't help but sigh. He just thought that Sasuke was very capable, so he worked hard to deal with it, but this was the result. It's really boring. Boo-hoo. Suddenly, two shurikens penetrated the tree trunk in front of Naruto, and a kunoichi with a sand ninja forehead protector appeared in Naruto's sight. The kunoichi took out a kunai from her ninja bag and played with it. Kid, hand over your scroll to me, or I will kill you. Looking at the kunoichi, Naruto fell into deep thought. Her plump and beautiful figure was wrapped in a bold fishnet dress, and a pair of shapely white long legs suddenly appeared in the air. This face was definitely something Naruto didn't recognize and had never seen before, but the way he was dressed, he looked very much like a certain person. But if it was really her, why did she go to the forest of death to block Naruto? Naruto didn't quite understand the brain circuit of this crazy woman. Thanks for watching.